Hello everyone. Today we are going to start with new chapter 11 of history. Name of the chapter is The Making of National Movement 1870s to 1947, and this is our first part. Dear students, in our previous chapters we have looked at various topics like how British conquest of territories, how they took over of kingdoms, how they introduced new laws and administrative institutions, the revolt of 1857 and its after effects, decline of crafts and growth of industries. On the basis of what you have read about these issues, do you think Indians were discontented with British rule? No. In this chapter, we are going to study this timeline. The revolt of 1857 and its after effects increased political awareness among the Indians, which led to introduction of various reforms and national movements. In this chapter, we are going to study about these movements and reforms. Partition of Bengal, Muslim League, Swadeshi movement, Home Rule movement, Caliphate movement, the Rowlatt Act, Jallianwala Bagh, non-cooperation movement. In this chapter, we are going to study these movements in detail. Let's start our chapter. First is the emergence of nationalism. In India, the growth of nationalism took place in the second half of the 19th century. India became united against foreign rule and decided to become independent. This could be achieved by the single feeling of nationalism, by patriotic feeling, by following principles and policy of national independence. About 100 years British took control over India. It exercises control over the lives of peoples, resources, and until this control was ended, India could not be for Indians. This consciousness began to be clearly stated by the political associations formed especially in the year 1870s and 1880s. Most of these were led by English educated professionals such as lawyers. The more important ones were the Pune Sarvajanik Sabha, the Indian Association, the Madras Mahajan Sabha, the Bombay Presidency Association, and of course, the Indian National Congress. Though many of these associations functioned in specific parts of the country, their goals were stated as the goals of all the people of India, not those of any one religion, community, or class. They worked with the idea that the people should be sovereign, a modern consciousness and a key feature of nationalism. In other words, they believed that the Indian people should be empowered to take decisions regarding their affairs. During this period, two acts were introduced by British. First was the Arms Act that was passed in 1878, disallowing Indians from possessing arms. And in the same year, the Vernacular Press Act was also enacted in an effort to silence those who were critical of the government. In the year 1883, Ilbert Bill was passed. The bill sought equality between British and Indian judges in the country. Britishers opposed the bill, forced government to withdraw it. The Indian National Congress was established when 72 delegates from all over the country met at Bombay in December 1885. The early leadership included Dadabhai Nehruji, Firoz Shah Mehta, Badruddin Tyabji, W.C. Banerjee, Surendranath Banerjee, Romesh Chandra Dutt, S. Subramania Iyer, A.O. Hume, a retired British official, also played a part in bringing Indians from the various regions together. He helped in the formation of Indian National Congress. It has often been said that the Congress in the first 20 years was moderate in its objectives and methods. During this period, it demanded a greater voice for Indians in the government and in administration. It wanted the legislative councils to be more representative, given more power, and introduced in provinces where none existed. It demanded that Indians be placed in high positions in the government. For this purpose, it called the civil services examinations to be held in India as well, not just in London. Other demands included the separation of the judiciary from the executive, the repeal of the Arms Act, and the freedom of speech and expression. The Congress also demanded reduction of revenue, cut in military expenditure, and more funds for irrigation. By the 1890s, many Indians began to raise questions about the political style of the Congress. In Bengal, Maharashtra, and Punjab, leaders such as Bipin Chandra Pal, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and Lala Lajpat Rai were beginning to explore more radical objectives and methods. They criticized the moderates for their politics of prayers and emphasized the importance of self reliance and constructive work. They believed in self rule, Swaraj. Tilak raised the slogan, "Freedom is my birthright and I shall have it." This is a picture of three radical leaders together: Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and Bipin Chandra Pal. In 1905, Viceroy Curzon partitioned Bengal. At that time, Bengal was the biggest province of British India and included Bihar and parts of Orissa. Government separated Bengal as East and West. The British argued for dividing Bengal for reasons of administrative convenience, but their main motive was to curtail the influence of Bengal politicians, to split the Bengal people, to divide Hindu and Muslim. Now let's see what was the result of this partition. The partition of Bengal infuriated people all over the India. All sections of Congress, the moderates and radicals opposed it. Large public meetings and demonstrations were held to protest the part. Movements started in Bengal and other parts of India also. Swadeshi movement in Bengal and Vande Mataram movement in Deltaic Andhra. A group of Muslim landlords and Nawabs formed the All India Muslim League in 1906. The League supported the partition of Bengal. Meanwhile, the Congress split in 1907. The moderates were opposed to the use of boycott. They felt that it involved the use of force. After the split, the Congress came to be dominated by the moderates, with Tilak's followers functioning from outside. The two groups reunited in December 1915. Next year, the Congress and the Muslim League signed the historic Lucknow Pact and decided to work together for representative government in the country.